Coach, have the players bounce back the way you hoped maybe they would?
Yeah, we've had really 2 good practices. I mean, really, they were enthusiastic. We had excitement. We had energy out there yesterday and today. So I'm happy with the way they practiced.
What challenges does Deshaun Watson bring?
A guy can sling it now. He can throw the football, and he's, he can move. I mean, so, I'm sure that he's been there long enough now that he's got a very good understanding of what Chad wants to do with the offense. And, it was obvious in the game against Florida State. I think he played almost all of the game and did an exceptional job.
Defensively, I know you're not going to be in that alignment, that you were on Saturday. But
right.
In general, is there anything you can do to simplify schemes or kind of dial things back to help these guys a little bit? Or?
Well, yeah. I mean, we're more in a base scheme for us, for one thing. So it'll be a lot more simpler for our guys, and we'll be doing things that we've been doing since day one of installs from 3 years ago, actually.
We heard from some guys that you left it up to the position coaches as to whether they were going to watch film in terms of the defense.
Yeah, I told each one of them once, we watched all the film, but with the players, it was left up to them. If they felt like they could learn something from it, if they were going to get something from it, didn't have to watch the whole game. If there was just pieces of it that they needed to show their guys, the main deal was to move on to Clemson.
When you were position coach, would you, no matter what, always have your guys watch the film? Or do you think sometimes it's justified in not having them just see it, just move on? It's easier to move on that way?
Just depends on the situation, depends on the players that I have in that room, depends on the maturity of them, what they're, how many of them have experience, how many of them don't. I mean, it's never the same scenario,
With an older group, you might be more inclined to have them see it?
Or you may be more inclined to not see it and move on. I mean, it just depends.
Totally depends.
Yeah, it totally depends on your room.
How do you feel about your guys' confidence, though, defensively? It was pretty jarring the way things went down.
Yeah, we'll find out on Saturday. I mean, you won't know till Saturday where your confidence level is. I mean, but there's no reason. I mean, you really, if one game's going to, determine who you really are, then that's not going to be a good situation because you got to play, at least 12 of them. So you can't let one game dictate who we are.
Defensive line against your offensive line, especially.
Yeah, it'll be a definite test. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you got 4 seniors starting up front for them. The inside guy, number 50, is very, very active. I mean, really does a heck of a job, and so does Beasley. I mean, everybody knows how good Beasley is. The guy is relentless. He plays hard every snap. He's got DB type speed and quickness. So he's got it. I imagine if he stays healthy, he'll play for a long time.
This Clemson's defensive line, is it similar to what South Carolina showed last year in that first game?
Not the same kind of size, but where they had 4 guys that were experienced and knew what they were doing and played hard, same thing. I would say Beasley, on the edge, plays hard every single snap. I mean, I haven't seen him get tired. I mean, he plays hard every snap, and so he brings a little bit more to the table.
Are the quarterbacks getting enough time to let downfield plays develop if you want to go?
Sometimes they're not. I mean, you've seen Marquise get hit a lot of times when he's let the ball go. I mean, but he's done a good job of not hanging on to the ball. I mean, we only ended up with 2 sacks, and that's with a very young, offensive line. So he's doing a good job getting the ball out of his hands. And unfortunately, there's been some plays that have been left out there that we needed a half of a second more for it to have developed, but we didn't get that opportunity.
Are you comfortable with his decision making on when to release when he starts to feel a rush?
Oh yeah. I think I think he's done a good job because he's had a lot of pressure in his face. He's had a lot of guys in his face. He's taken a lot of hits.
Is it similar to that South Carolina game you guys played last year?
I don't think it's similar. I think South Carolina was a little more athletic when we played them a year ago, but Clemson, they got some big guys. They got, they try to run different motions to get you, out of the formation and then try to have big plays off of that.
Coach mentioned he left it up to the position coaches to see whether or not you guys would watch film or how much.
Did your group go through film? What'd you see?
We've been doing a system with watching film. We've been having to go in and watch film, and then Coach Richardson, he has us text him and tell us all the different questions that he asks, and then we got it on our iPads. We go in and watch it.
Do you find that helpful? Do you think you can really pull something from that this week?
I think you can pull a lot from it because they do a lot of eye candy stuff. If your eyes are on the wrong thing, then they can beat you.
Now, is last week already out of your mind? Are we already looking ahead?
Yeah, what happened last week is last week. This is a different game. If you dwell on what happened last week, then you can't get prepared for this week.
And what's been the main thing? You know, last week it was tackling and formations. What's the emphasis this week in practice?
Just playing ball, just having fun, just getting out there, just forgetting about all the distractions, the adversity that's going to come. Just have fun, play football.